Okay,
I'd like to have that fun.
it's 9 o'clock. We'll call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda this morning.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Okay, Commissioners' reports on committees. Who'd like to start?
I can start. Want me to
Yeah, we'll
Want
start
to
this
start?
end.
Yep.
We'll start this end.
Okay, after our last board meeting, I was up at the MRCI luncheon that we had for our Employer Appreciation Day. We just have a lunch for all the employers that help us out with trying to find places for our consumers to work at, and we had about 50 different people represented there at the meeting, so or at the lunch. It was a good program. They have about 3 consumers come in and talk about their job experiences, and everybody was very receptive to it and worked out really well. And we deal with about 150 different businesses in the Mankato and Blue Earth County area to find jobs for these people. So it was nice to see them all come together. They give out a few prizes. They keep it on a relatively short time frame. It's about an hour, and so everybody's appreciative of that. After that, I had a meeting on our ditch 2 that we've been working on for a couple years. We had it all done when Leo gave us our go-ahead to do it from the DNR, because that's that one that runs through a lot of wetlands. And so since the changing of the guards with the DNR, they had some concerns. It was nothing real major. We had a meeting with them. I think we resolved the 4 issues they were dealing with, and we'll be moving forward with that in hopefully this fall yet too. I thought we had a great road tour. I got to see a lot of different things, see the shops and all the projects worked on this month or last year, and it went really well. We had our ditch advisory meeting, and we set the levies for all the ditches in Blue Earth County. We will be approving them today, I believe.
Yep.
Highway 22 had an open house / informational meeting over in Mapleton. A lot of people concerned about the way the road is handling at this point with the way they ground it up and took the bumps out of it. So they had Jed come over from MnDOT, who is the basically the maintenance supervisor, and he talked a lot about the road and what their process was, and it is slated for 2017, and a lot of people in the audience wanted it to be done faster, but it's at the end of the day, it is going to take that long to get the planning, get the right-of-way purchased, and get the road done. So Jed talked them through what the process was for the road, and some people weren't too happy with the way that they cut those grooves in there. It's making it dangerous. So they will be looking at some stuff this spring, and they're just watching it very close, and it's just going to be a tough piece of road to take care of for the next 2 years, unfortunately. Jed said it is on his high priority. The chances of that getting moved or slated to a different year is pretty slim. He definitely supports getting it done because he knows that the road is just in rough shape. But Jed did a nice job dealing with all the constituents over there, and I just went for, I got a call from the mayor, asked me if I'd like to come over and sit in on it, and it was good conversation to sit in on. We were at the Tornado Tabletop last Thursday morning. Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner People and their administrator. We had a good showing. We had our elected officials and administration table, and we were basically the table.
Yeah.
It was very interesting watching how they work and how they deal with that stuff. And as a commissioner, Drew and I had this conversation throughout the thing is, you know, how do we deal with all that stuff on a day-to-day basis and making sure things getting done? Well, if you went and watched that morning, you know we're prepared for disasters. Now, this is a tornado tabletop, but whether you switched it to a flood or any other situation, Blue Earth County, I think, is covered. We're building some good relationships with the small cities, the city of Mankato, school district is there, MSU was there, and I mean there was several other
first responders from the
first
whole
responders
area.
were there, the police were there, the public works from
There was
Blue Earth was there, the public works from Mankato was there, and so just a
Mayo
see-
Clinic.
Yeah. So we had a really it was good to see it firsthand. I mean, I knew all that stuff goes on. I've been in part of disasters with the floods and stuff, and seeing that firsthand how we operate. But to see it actually come together, and they actually put together an incident command and structure, and it it was very interesting and very educational for me as a commissioner. So,
I think one of the things that came out was that when something like that happens, the elected officials should just get out of the way.
yeah,
Wasn't that it?
yeah, that's kind of comes down to.
They just have to keep
I
us
mean, at first
informed.
at least anyway.
Keep
Well,
us,
and if you look at it at the end of the meeting, the 4-hour meeting, we weren't really even in the discussion because they were walking, they were taking
I know.
it through the pieces. They were to the point now where now the Board of Commissioners or the City Council would get involved. But
Yeah.
that's one of those things, and Mike Mauer reported that one day at one of our work sessions. He said,
Yeah.
when I come to talk to you people, you're going to be making decisions on 15% of the information.
Yeah.
And that is what it's going to be, because all that information is gathered by other people, works its way up through the chain of command. When they come to talk to us,
Yeah.
we're going to have a very small piece of the information.
A lot of ours has to do with budgetary things,
Yep.
statutorily.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that came out this time too was, let's say the chair might, if it depending on the level of emergency, the chair might have to declare a state of emergency for Blue Earth County or something.
Yeah.
Which for, I think it's 72 hours, releases us from some of those statutory things. Isn't that true, Bob?
Yeah, that's correct.
we just have to prepare to spend money is what they said. And
Yeah.
then, and then the chair, of course, you'd have to authorize,
Right.
the formality. then.
Well, and I think one of the biggest things for us as elected is to show support and
Mhm.
to keep people calm.
Yes. And,
You know,
and,
I
and
mean,
deal with the
because
constituents.
We'll be in the media,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
and that's, we certainly aren't the experts. We're not the people that are out there, so. But good for you, thanks for being there.
Yeah, no, we had a good showing. So.
Thank
It
you.
was, yeah.
I
A
think
lot of, I'd say
all
there's
three of
100
us. There's 3 commissioners
110
there and the
people, I
administrator.
think.
So we could have made a decision.
Yeah.
There was about 110, I think, when I counted.
Was it? Yeah, there was. It was a
Oh,
good
people,
turnout.
there was, yeah. There
Yeah.
was,
Quite a
And
few.
Eric Weller did a great job. I mean,
Yeah.
he puts together a good program. So.
And our,
Then after that, the next day we were at the open house for the MAPO. Mark
Oh,
was
yeah.
there for more of that than I was, but that looked like it went pretty well. And then we stopped over to see Commissioner Purvis with his opening remarks for his speaker from the library, but I'll let him elaborate on that because that was a wonderful program. And then yesterday I finished up with our MRCI program, and we had our little awards banquet for our 5, 10, 15, 20, and all the way up to 35-year employees. So we had one at 30 and one at 35. So, and the one at 35 is actually someone that I grew up in Eagle Lake. She's a couple years older than I am, but she's our secretary for our board at this point, and the president's executive secretary. So she's kind of come up through the ranks. So that was exciting to see all those people and the years of service that they provide for the Blue Earth County residents. That's my report, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you.
I don't have too much to add because it was at the same thing Skip was. The same with Maple, Mankato Area Planning Organization on Thursday before the program at the Verizon with the Reformed Thief, whatever. But we did have a consultant there that we had hired to do the SCR, to do the he was a transportation consultant, and they had it was a little electronic devices we had, where they'd ask the question, put up on the screen, and then you click A, B, or C, or D, and they were questions regarding congestion, safety in the community, what roads we thought were safe, what weren't, or what did we think, how bad was it, they had different levels. Then they asked questions on funding too, what we'd be willing to pay, that kind of thing. So it was worthwhile. It was part of the plan with our putting together the whole organization plan for the planning organization. So it was interesting, and you could actually still go online and I don't have that with me, but those who weren't there, you could still go online and do that survey too. Go under MP, the Mankato Area Planning Organization. We'll get you the website. Anyway, so that's really all I have,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Outside of the other things, so.
Me next?
Go ahead.
Now, I spent a lot of time out of the city. Since our last board meeting, I've been to the District 1, the District 9, the District 10 meetings, the District 2, 3, and 4 meetings for AMC. So I've been driving across the state of Minnesota. Very interesting you know, you hear all these district meetings, and it's really good for all of us to sit and hear that how much what each district is really concerned about. There's a very important issue coming up from District 1 with the Fond du Lac Indian Reservation asking for a Class 1 clean air destination with the EPA. That could affect the whole state of Minnesota because it surrounds the reservation by 170 miles all ways, which includes Blue Earth County. And it could stop businesses from starting up, manufacturing areas from starting up because of the clean air destination. Right now they're in a request for information. They're, and I know AMC's writing in. They should be getting a hold of us to see if we're going to send a letter. So it's an important issue, and it's going to affect the whole state of Minnesota. But that's the kind of stuff you hear. You wouldn't have heard it if I wasn't there.
Yeah.
How come you get invited to all these district meetings and I don't get invited? That's what I'd like to know.
Something about running for second vice president.
That's what it is. You're running for second vice president for AMC.
Don't worry, Drew. If you feel left out, you can do that.
You could do that next year. October 28th, I went to the Airport Commission, and then we did a road tour, and then after a road tour, I had a meeting with a developer here in Mankato that was very interested in our rental property across the road. And his feelings, he would like to take that rental property and turn it into a place for homeless veterans on his own dollar, fix the place up, and what we were talking about is possibility of leasing the property because I told him that the county was not going to sell it, but possibility of leasing the property for 5 or 10 years. So that's in the process, and I'll bring more information to you as it comes. But it was kind of interesting and kind of exciting because he had a real thing in his heart for veterans and the homeless, and it's one of those things I kind of pushed back, kind of like the community farm. If we can help somebody and it doesn't cost the taxpayers money. It's got to be a good thing. That's about it. And today's election day, and I voted.
Good.
My turn?
Your turn.
I did the same thing. I exercised my American freedom and voted before I came to the meeting today.
Amen.
Yeah, I was glad you made it in time since I had.
I know, you saw me.
you.
He goes, "You're not going to go vote, are you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to run down there." He goes, "Well,
And he was already running late, but he made it. They put him in front of the line, I think. But.
No, there was hardly anybody. Anyway, of course, we had our last board meeting on October 21st, and we had a wonderful luncheon at the Prairie Box Saloon in Cambria.
That's in Blue Earth County, right?
That is in Blue Earth County.
Right on the edge.
Just don't bring that up. And so Tuesday, October 21st. Also, that evening, Envision 2020 Community Celebration gathering at the Civic Center. And there were many, many people there to hear the 2014 progress report, and also did some planning work by sharing some of our ideas and opinions. They had a hard copy survey, and I want to let you know that there's a survey online for anybody in this community that would like to go there. They have a video you can watch, and it's just simply envision-2020.com. And you can go there and watch the video and share your ideas and things that you've seen happen in the last year on that survey they've got. I think, Bob, you were there, weren't you?
I was there too.
And Mark, you were there?
I was.
Yeah. I don't know, there's a couple hundred people there. It was pretty full. Just for the fun of it, I put on here too that I started up again this year, so I'll be volunteering down at the Holy Grounds Centenary Methodist Church. It's a downtown church, right downtown, and they open their doors up all for the whole winter, every morning, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday.
and people who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness, or maybe they don't have enough in their cupboard to have a little cup of coffee and a roll in the morning, come in and sit around and socialize and fellowship, and it's just for a few hours every morning, starting at about 8:15.
That's great.
Yeah, and then Tuesday, public work. We went on that Public Works road tour, which was always a good one. We do that once a year, looking at possibly some projects coming up and also what we've done. We ate at the wonderful Thunder Cafe in Good Thunder.
That was pretty good.
Good food. Tuesday, 28th, that evening, I had been invited to speak to the Mankato area lifelong learners, and it was to be on elections, running for office, and local government. And it turned into quite a discussion after a while. It's about a 2-hour class, and the lifelong learners, I don't know if anybody's familiar with them, been in town for years. It's intended mostly for people over the age of 50, and it's a very small membership fee, and they provide many workshops and classes in this community to get involved with things and to continue learning. And they continue to, and they bring a lot to the table, I can tell you that much. The 29th, I attended a meeting at MnDOT building, and there we were talking about the Minnesota River Trail. You probably heard some of this in the newspaper over the last year or two, and trying to look at the route between St. Peter and Mankato. So that's Le Sueur County actually in Mankato, and there's many stakeholders in the room, including Representative Clark Johnson, which covers part of that area, Senator Kathy Sharon, our county engineer, we had our county park staff, we had city parks and city staff, township officers, Uniman mining staff, MnDOT. I mean, it was just quite a room full of people trying to come up with some kind of a route that would be acceptable to the people that live out there. But they're still developing possible routes for this trail system. It's interesting, connecting it to Mankato and our trail there. The 30th, I also attended that emergency management tabletop exercise with many of our local first responders, and that was from 8:30 to noon on October 30th. And then yesterday I had a meeting with Bob Meyer, our county administrator, just to talk about local issues and the board meeting coming up and any concerns. We try to connect, at least once a month or twice a month on some of those things. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good, thank you. Just got a few things to add. On the 23rd, I went to the New Ulm Public Library, and it was a book signing for a new author. Alan Eskins is a local defense attorney, and he's written his first novel, and was there to wish him well. And this was part of a ACHF grant that through the regional library system, which board that I sit on. So it's kind of neat to see another local author. He has a 3-book deal with his publisher, so we'll be seeing a couple more books. And I haven't read his book yet, but it's a murder mystery, so it looks to be a good book. Of course, we had the road tour on the 28th. On the 29th, we had the ditch advisory meeting, and as Kip said, we set the levy for 2015 for the ditches. And after that, I went out to the county range and qualified under the to meet the requirements of the Retired Police Officers Act, federal law. And then on the 30th, I was very honored to introduce Frank Abagnale Jr. He's the person that the movie, the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Catch Me If You Can, was about his life, and he gave a very good presentation, very good message. I was pleased to see that. We had about 900 people for this free event at the Civic Center, and this is another program that's sponsored by the ACHF fund through the regional library, the Travis DeSue Library Cooperative. And these are all free events, and this is part of the Storytellers series. We've had speakers such as Harmon Killebrew, Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul and Mary, several nationally known authors, photographers, a lot of programming that comes to this area that wouldn't otherwise come to the area. So, and yesterday I had the Law Library Board meeting at the Criminal Justice Center, and that brings us up to today. So, okay. Looks like we're right at
Ready
the
for that.
drainage for
Yeah,
Greg.
Morning, Craig.
Hi, Craig.
Morning, Craig. Looks like according to the agenda, we'll be starting out with the drainage inspector's report. We got several of them. First one, if you notice, I have quite a range on the potential cost. It depends on if it's just a simple fix. If we just have to replace the CMP outlet, or if we have to replace the entire head wall. It could really vary, and we won't know until we start digging up the dirt. So that's why there's such a huge range on that particular repair. So,
And we share that cost though with Faribault County, so they'll be in on that with you too, won't they?
that's correct. And I've already informed Faribault County that this is potentially is coming up, so they already know about it. So, okay. County Ditch 25. We've got a contractor all lined up to do these repairs. This is actually some of the stuff covered by FEMA. So exactly how much we're getting for FEMA, I will hopefully find out soon. It's all the paperwork's been submitted. So otherwise than that, but one particular slough is absolutely huge, and it could potentially really cause some damage if it continues to slough. So that's why the high cost on that particular slough repair.
Got to get it taken care of.
Yes. Okay, County Ditch 26. We've had a side inlet. This is what they call kind of a pass-through or pipe side inlet. It has failed. This is the second time this has failed. I'm proposing we do something different. I'm looking at actually a drop intake, because apparently the soil conditions does not work to have a pass, just a long pipe on this one. If we repair it again, I'm pretty sure, just since it's failed twice already in the same manner, it'll probably fail again. So we're trying to look at something different. And exactly what will work will depend on what happens. We have to shoot some levels and stuff and see if we can put in a drop intake if enough fall.
What exactly is a drop intake?
Drop intake is a pipe that goes straight down first, and then a pipe that goes out into the ditch. There are several advantages to these particular pipes. One, hopefully they won't float up and they're not so susceptible to the frost pushing them around. Another advantage is if they get down a little bit lower, we encourage farmers then to hook up their private tile into the lower level. That actually reduces the number of outlets into the open ditch, so it actually reduces maintenance too. Also there, so that's another advantage of those drop intakes. I don't know where the farmer's private tile is in this particular field, but he would be allowed to do that, especially if we can get it low enough in the pipe. But that is a concern on this particular portion of the ditch, because it is a little bit lower. Can we get it low enough to do that kind of drop intake? But it's most of our new intakes, we've been putting drop intakes in now.
Okay. Thank you.
And next one, just a beaver dam removal. We're going to have, the contractor is going to be about 1.5 miles north of that, working on County Ditch 50, and I said, hey, when you're in the area, can you swing down and remove the dam? So.
Did you do it already?
He has not done it yet, because it'll be part of the County Ditch 50 repairs with the same contractor, since he's going to be in the area. Biggest expense on this is mobilization. Basically loading and unloading the equipment is probably the biggest expense. It's a pretty small little repair.
2 scoops with his excavator and it'll be out.
It'll be out, yes. That's why I was looking for someone who's going to be in the area anyway.
I noticed in the picture there's an outlet pipe sticking out quite a ways there. Is that okay too? Just curious. I mean, I just see it there. But.
Yeah, that's the original old main line from the old system before they put in the open ditch.
Oh, so it was
Yeah.
a closed ditch there, you mean?
Yeah, it was all entirely a tile system. before they put in that open ditch portion.
Okay. Otherwise, the ditch looks in pretty good shape.
Well, the biggest problem is it dumps back into a tile line, and that's tile shot. I should have mentioned it's failed again. Yes. Farmer called me yesterday morning. I don't know if he talked to you.
Yeah, I get a lot of calls on that one.
Okay. County Ditch 83, just again another beaver dam, and try to just get somebody out there. Hopefully, if contractor's going to be in the area anyway to tip it out. We will wait until we get the beaver removed. Looks like, by the evidence, there's quite a few beaver in building up the dam. It's building up really fast, so we want to get them removed. Otherwise, if we take it out, they'll just rebuild it.
Those beavers again.
Yes. County Ditch 96, this is the outlet, is basically what they call the Cobb River Overflow, which is part of County Ditch 96. We had not planned to do anything with this when we were making major repairs, and it was not part of the original plans. A couple things happened these last spring and in June. It had some additional damage here, but it's been deteriorating for quite a while and needs to be kind of redone. What we're looking at is actually putting kind of like erosion control blankets, kind of dam checks to check some of the erosion issues. We wasn't installed the last time, and this is last time we fixed it. So we're trying those. Hopefully that'll eliminate some of our problems we have of washing out.
Okay.
And that's it for the drainage inspection reports.
Have a motion to approve these?
I'll move the repairs.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried.
Okay. Next thing I have is I recommend approval for the following single-year levies payable in 2015, and you should have that in your packet. And that was discussed at our drainage advisory meeting.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Discussion? None, all in
Well,
favor? Go ahead.
Just a comment. Talked with Bob a little bit about this too. You know, we don't all get involved with this very much. Those two commissioners, Will and Kip, that sit on that advisory, ditch advisory, right? That's who works on these, and so I know there's a lot of. You have to go through every one of those ditches and try to figure out. You know, it's kind of a shooting match. Sometimes has this one needed repairs lately because of this, or are we going to get so much rainfall, or what? I mean, I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do. I don't know how you guys do that.
Well, it's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because it is a bit of guesswork trying to think what's going to happen a year from now. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong.
Right. So you have to go by experience and what you see happening out there, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Kind of like predicting the weather. Okay, any other comments? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Second, recommend for approval of the following these are multi-year drainage assessments and system levies and assessment for principal from general obligation ditch bonds payable in 2015 and after. This is potentially missing one ditch. We have County Ditch 2, which I had not on there. I might be coming back to the board with that. I don't want to put that on there until I know that the project is going to happen. So that's why I've left it out temporarily.
That's the one I was referring to this morning that we were
Yeah.
having some issues with.
So,
Okay.
because once we levy it, we have to levy it and collect it, and if the project...
We can't return the money.
And we can't return the money to the landowners once we levy it. So I want to wait until we know the project's going through on that one.
Makes sense.
Okay?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks a lot, Craig.
Charlie?
Good morning, Charlie.
Morning.
I just have a quick item for you today. This is another one of our annual software support contract renewals. This one is the annual software support contract for our countywide finance and payroll system. You may hear us refer to it as the Munis system. That's the trade name of that particular system. So this comes up each year, much like some of our other software. This system is used by employees throughout the county. It truly is one of our backbone systems that drives the whole county. Like other software support contracts, it includes technical support, includes troubleshooting, and it also includes upgrades to new versions of the software. So what we're showing here is a maximum or a not to exceed amount, and our vendor is Tyler Technologies. They're the ones that developed the Munis finance and payroll system. The amount is $52,993, and this expense has been budgeted in the IT operating budget. So the action that's requested this morning is approval of the Tyler Technologies contract for $52,993, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
How long was Tylerman? We've had them, of course, they...
Since 2007.
They do a good job, though, it looks
I remember we talked about this, wasn't it last year? Even I think we had this on here. Same one, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Great,
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. Thank you.
Just
Okay, Al?
Charlie was fast. Yeah.
You were ready?
We're
Al?
expecting the
We can
same
go on to
from you,
something else
Al.
here, Al, if, you're not ready.
You know, in sitting in on Craig's discussion on drainage costs, that introduces a variable to the county highway budget also, because we have to pay the assessments because part of our highway right-of-way is within these various districts for a ditch. But also when they replace the pipe or a bridge, we pay for the pipe under the road, so that's quite an expense. A couple of odds and ends here as we get started. The state has put together a very nice brochure on road and bridge funding, the state aid system, where the money comes from and where it goes to. I won't lead your way through it. I think you're pretty familiar with it anyway, but it is quite a nice account. There should be quite a movement to increase the gas tax this year, or some equivalent to the gas tax.
Mark, did you get one?
This is how it would be split. And then also, annually now, we receive a report card from the state on our bridge inspection program. And I'm very proud to report that for the Blue Earth County bridges, about 125 bridges in our system, plus another 75 or so that we inspect for the townships under the state law, we received a 99.6% compliance rating. So I apologize for being off by 0.4%.
Jeez, we're gonna work on that.
There was one bridge where the state felt we should have had a longer narrative description of the bridge, and then there's one bridge that needs to be load rated, where depending on criteria, we'll hire a consultant to go through the elements of the bridge and evaluate them for what the safe rating is for the bridge. So we'll work on that for next year.
How many township bridges did you say there was?
There's about 200 altogether.
So there's quite a few township
Oh yes,
bridges.
yeah, there's about 500 miles out there township road.
Okay.
And then we also inspect the city of Mankato's bridges, and we received a 100% compliance rating for the city. So the city owes us. We opened bids Friday for the County Road 147 bridge, the Dodd Fort Bridge. And I would note that Art Sidner is in the audience, who's been working with the community there for several years and has been a tremendous liaison between the community and the county in moving this project forward.
Thank you.
Art also is an accomplished professional photographer and writer. Do you mind if I share your photo with the board? And then I will pass this out too. The state has recently done a large report on all the historic bridges in the state, including this bridge, and this report was just received from them on that particular bridge. So, we received 3 bids from Edward Kramer and Sons of Wisconsin, Minowa Construction, Southern Minnesota, Zenick Brothers, Minnesota, We had adjusted our estimate from the $1.5 million the first time we bid it to $1.9 million, which was the low bid we received in August. So the engineer's estimate was $1.9 million. Edward Kramer and Sons, $1,555,587, low bid. Very close to what our engineer's estimate had been back in August, actually. So I think we have a good bid. I think we have a good project. I think we've developed consensus amongst our farming community and the Amboy community and the historic folks that this is a reasonable approach. I would recommend that we go ahead and get the job done here.
I'll make motion to accept the bid.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
And this is the bid with, what company is that here?
Edward Kramer.
Edward Kramer and Sons.
Now, they're a large, very accomplished bridge contractor.
Are they,
Yes.
they're from
Plains, Wisconsin.
Plains?
Have we had them before, Al,
Yes.
or anything? Yeah, okay.
You checked on the bridge bonding funds and they will up 90%?
Yes, I did.
Share on that.
I checked with Patty Loken, who administers the local bridge bonding program, and she agreed that there would be 90% of that amount, or $1.4 million, available,
Okay.
state bond funds.
Very good.
You know, there's a lot of work done. Will's done an amazing amount of work on this. And, you know, sometimes, years ago, we weren't all in agreement which should happen here. But I think it's going to be very important to, even though it's just a one-lane road, to get a road there for the safety of the people back and forth. And not a lot of traffic goes up down that road anyway, so it's going to be very, very important to have a road that goes across. And then the historic value is just on top of that.
Yep.
So
A lot of hard work done. Appreciate it.
a lot of work.
Yep. So, okay. If there's nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I just want to note that the bridge is the object of a lot of art. You'll notice my coffee cup has a picture of the bridge on it.
Good job.
We know where that's from.
Did you have something to do with that, Art? I couldn't quite wear my T-shirt today. It didn't fit with the attire.
Thank you for your,
Thank you for all your hard work.
You guys have put in a great deal of work and we really appreciate it.
Okay.
I think it's helpful to have an engineer that's willing to look at things and be creative too, and I think that, you know, because it was difficult to come up with a solution and we weren't sure, you could wait forever to try to get historic preservation funds, I think, which maybe at some point could have happened.
Yeah.
But,
This is the better solution.
yeah, I think it'll make it maybe safer
Yeah.
for its use in the future and you know, I don't.
Very good.
It's nice, very nice.
Okay.
One day we'll have a party at the bridge and you guys get it all built.
There you go. There you go.
Sounds like a plan.
Make it a nice day.
Happy the nice day.
We'll be meeting with the contractor, and I'll let you know what his plans are as far as schedule and so
That'd be great.
on. Yeah. Thanks for coming, Art.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is this is your report here, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like that back.
Yeah. Oh, I know, it's very interesting. Just look at it now.
Sure.
Okay, continuing on.
There's a report like that for about 50 bridges around the state that have been categorized as historic.
Okay.
Well, the 99 bridge in St. Peter, they're currently working on refurbishing that. That's a historic bridge also, isn't
Right.
it? Yeah.
Right. The nice thing about our project, I think, is that with the new abutments, steel beams, concrete deck, it's got a 100-year life ahead of us. Whereas when you preserve some of the older bridges, you know, St. Peter Bridge, for instance, that probably doesn't have 100 years ahead of it.
That could still flood too, because they're not going to completely solve the problem.
Well, this brings a good deal of joy to a lot of folks, so thank you.
That's going to be done.
Okay, we opened bids on a truck chassis to replace the truck chassis for the sign truck. Received 2 bids, Western Freightliner, North Central International. This is just the chassis. We'll be reusing the cabinet, the body that sits on the truck. Low bid was $51,000 with trading in the 2004 Ford. Low bid was $51,723. I would recommend the low bid.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, as you know, the legislature authorized $2.4 million in bonding for safety, renovation, repairs to the Rapid Ann Dam. We need to enter into an agreement with the DNR. This resolution, DNR Dam Safety Program Grant Application Resolution, would authorize us to enter into an agreement and use those funds.
Also move.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
So what's the title of the program? Is there
DNR Dam Safety Program.
DNR Dam Safety?
Yep.
Okay.
Be careful how you say that.
Well, I wasn't sure it was the Dam DNR Safety Program, but it was...
Dam is a noun.
No, I know.
Not an adjective in this case.
That's a nice way to put that. Okay, all in
That's a
favor
pretty good
say...
command language for an engineer, isn't it, Mark?
Okay.
Okay. We're working with Eagle Point, Eagle Creek Renewable Energy, and FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and the DNR to determine the best way to spend that $2.4 million. So,
How much was it?
$2.4 million.
That's the 2.4 from the
Yep,
state.
100% state funding.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried.
Okay, the next resolution is one that you asked me to bring to you at the last county board meeting. That would authorize acquiring right-of-way for County 12 from County 17 to Trunk Highway 83. State and federal environmental review process is complete. There's, of course, the school and additional development waiting in the wings for the road. Right-of-way will only get more expensive as time goes on. We don't have the funds, which will be on the order of $1.5 million to actually buy the right-of-way. What we would do with this resolution, though, is have a plat drawn up, right-of-way plat, have appraisals, review appraisals prepared so that we'd be in a position to buy the right-of-way. If the board were to make the funds for purchasing the right-of-way available to us, we would move into buying right-of-way also. We talked about options for funding the project, so all that is laid in front of you folks. But this would allow us to get started on some of the more timely items like the right-of-way plat and appraisals.
I would move to approve.
Second it.
Okay, discussion?
And so this is something that probably would start happening until 2015. As far as
The actual
things go.
purchase wouldn't start until you made funds available for it, because
Somehow.
our funds are completely booked at this point. Our existing funds.
Okay.
This is a starting process, and I think all of us here know that we have to get County Road 12 completed. With the school starting up, along with all the industry and stuff growing in that area, we need to have a place for Blue Earth County and the city of Mankato to expand. This will only help that process, along with taking traffic off from Highway 22 when it's completed.
Right.
So this is a start. You got to start somewhere, and it's a good thing.
Nope, I agree, and I think if we get this ball rolling, we can kind of get some ideas of what the right-of-way is going to cost us, and then we'll have to have more discussions. I would imagine a workshop discussion about the funding of it and try to narrow it down. We've still got several options on the table that we haven't narrowed down yet, but I think we're all in agreement that we're going to move forward with some sort of general fund expenditure, but then trying to replenish it with some other resource. So we should probably start to narrow that down a little more. But this is a good step.
We have a little time, but
Yeah.
in the meantime, we have to get the ball rolling and get the right-of-way acquisition started.
Okay, any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, speaking of getting the ball rolling, the next item is would be an application for a local road improvement grant. The legislature authorized don't recall the exact numbers, on the order of 30 million for local road improvement bonds. This project would be eligible for that. Unfortunately, more than half of that money was earmarked for a couple of projects in the metro area. But there are some funds available. There would be up to $750,000 if we receive this local road improvement program grant. We have 1.15 million in federal funds for 2017. If we receive that grant, it would be another 750,000. So it's simply support of a application for LRIP grant.
And you use that for what then, Al?
For construction only. This particular grant is...
Not
can be
for
used-
acquiring any land
No.
or anything like that, it's just...
Right, for construction only.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
I was wondering if how are our prospects? They're better than Tiger Grant, I assume. Even though
It's better than Tiger Grant, but they're still pretty slim.
They're still pretty. That's with being 30 million, and a
You're
bunch of that is taken by the Metro by that one
The
project.
majority is taken by the Metro,
Right.
and we're competing with all the rest of the rural counties in the state of Minnesota.
I just wonder if my odds in Vegas
Yeah.
were better here than with the Tiger Grant. That's all. Yeah.
One thing that's in our favor to some degree is that there are all these grant applications. There are a lot of work to put together. There's a small amount of money. People are getting discouraged in applying for them. So the more discouraged other folks get, the better our chances are.
I guess if we keep, it's one way to look at it. If we keep trucking
go
away
with
at
that.
Keep plugging
it,
along.
yeah, plugging along.
When we get further into the information items, there's a number of construction projects being planned in the next several years that I'd like to start the discussion anyway on their schedules, because they do interact with each other. Okay, we received a letter from the MPCA.
We got to vote on this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Whoa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Okay, go ahead now.
Les Anderson was a commissioner many years ago, and Les used to say, I'd rather have a horse that you got to slow down once in a while than when you can't get going.
There you go.
We appreciate your enthusiasm.
Gosh. We
I
received
think
a
I'll
letter.
use that one.
I think he was using a horse, not some other animal that was
Horse is good. We'll leave it
a
there.
draft animal. Okay, we received a letter from the MPCA designating that Blue Earth County, because of the size of our urban area here, is a MS4 area. State Disposal System Stormwater General Permit for municipal separate storm sewer systems. We don't really have any choice in the matter. And thinking about our road projects too, we're subject to several different MPCA permits in the highway department. We've got permits for our shops, permits for our gravel pits. Every construction project, we draw an MPCA permit. This permit would basically, and there was a map included in your bundle of the Mankato urbanized area. Most of that is within Mankato, North Mankato city limits. They have their own MS4 permit. But from that city limits to the limits of the urbanized area, we've got some stormwater facilities. Storm sewer pipes, outlets. This permit requires that we inventory those outlets. Water coming out of these storm sewers affects downstream water quality. I think as a step in the future towards trying to regulate and improve the water quality coming out of those pipes, which would be a big issue for us. The letter asks us to send them a letter confirming that we meet the criteria for stormwater regulation, or why we don't believe that we meet that criteria. So I think it'd be something very difficult to fight. The criteria are not very clear or understandable. But I could write them a letter and say, we accept the designation. Don't necessarily understand it, but we accept it, rather than agree to it or something like that.
Well, it could mean that we might have to do some work that, once we're accepted. I would think it could mean that we might have to redo some outlets and things like that. I mean, I don't know.
It won't initially, but I think as the years go by, it may. I've raised the trial balloon with the city of Mankato. They're already doing this for theirs, so they could assist us with this program. Another option might be to hire a consultant to put the initial permit together, and then after that, it would be maintaining the permit and reporting annually. City is interested in helping us with that. Just as we've got a lot of bridges, we do theirs because it would require a special area of expertise on their part. They've got a big storm sewer system. We've got a small one. Would be efficient for them to assist us. So that's one approach. Another would be to work with the Soil and Water Conservation District and see if they're interested in helping us with that. But it's the first step in this MS4 process. You may have heard discussion at MICA. It's an issue with the MICA counties over the years. And Keith Carlson has been very helpful in letting us know this is coming and what our options are and so on.
I would think our water planner too at the county would know quite a bit about this.
She does, yes. I've talked to Julie about it.
Have you?
Yep.
Okay.
I would move to approve.
I'll second the,
Okay. Any
Yeah.
discussion?
This is, like Al was saying, we really don't have a choice. City of Mankato probably is going to be the major portion here, since the pollution control coming from the city and stuff is, you know, and working hand in hand with the city, which we do already.
Right?
I probably won't make that big of an impact for Blue Earth County.
Yeah, the city has a full-time water quality person that deals with the MS4 and the stormwater discharge permits for the construction projects. So we've had some initial discussions. We'll carry forward with that.
And then you have about 2 weeks, I suppose, to get that letter.
Yeah.
to the,
Yep. It'd be very simple, straightforward letter.
okay.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, some information items. County 82, Victory. We've been working with the city to coordinate the signals on Victory. And there's 2 small gaps left in the fiber optic cable connecting them. The city's working on closing those gaps. We pay half the cost to close those gaps. It's a relatively small amount. City has a software. City has a traffic engineer that could then start progressing those signals, which would be a great help. On Highway 22, our agreement with MnDOT included the hardware, the connections between the Highway 22 signals so that they could be coordinated, and I'm urging them to go ahead and get them coordinated. They have not been coordinated at this point. They're saying they're waiting for the traffic to settle down after the roundabouts being opened. But my view is, yeah, the traffic is settling down, but it never really settles down here with the change in the student season and the change in the shopping seasons. Let's get on with it. I think that would help the traffic flow on Highway 22 as well as Victory significantly. We talked about the water of the United States. We sent in our resolution, our letter, to our congressman as well as to the EPA. There's also a motion in the state to have the state assume the Section 404 permits from the Corps of Engineers. I think that's a worthwhile, it has potential.
yeah, that would be good.
We should
That would be
follow.
good.
It's not a silver bullet to all this. The federal law and rules say the state can assume that Section 404 requirement, but there's the question of which state agency would get it, the PCA, the DNR, or Bowser. How would the state cost be funded? It's going to cost the state money to do this. Where would they get the money? The federal law on Clean Water Act and rules would still need to be rigorously enforced by the assuming state agency. So things that often slow down the federal permits, the historic review, coordination with the Section 106, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service coordination, endangered species, all of that would still be there. It's just that a state agency would be doing it. They have more staff. They should be able to respond quicker. MnDOT state aid is in the process of paying for a core staff position so that the core permits would go faster. I think MnDOT has paid for a historic person that's on the core staff. They're paying a salary for a core person to accelerate regular MnDOT projects. This would be a third position paid within the core, paid by the state to try to make things go faster. It's kind of interesting.
Sounds positive.
Yeah. It's been a little controversial in that some folks feel, well, you're paying the federal government to do something because they're not doing their job. And you are kind of.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
it gets it done. Otherwise, it doesn't get done.
If we can get them out of the way, that would be the best world, but that's, you know.
It's a practical approach to it. So you may hear something about that at AMC coming up. Our construction project status, I think you're very up to date with that after our road tour. Maintenance overlays, the 226 projects, 14 bridges is underway waiting for beams, unfortunately, 131 done. Planning projects, now County 1, we're finishing the plans and acquiring right-of-way for County 1 from Good Thunder to Highway 30. And the Trunk Highway 66 turnback, the agreement is in St. Paul for execution. But I would like to just step back for a minute and look at the project schedule in Blue Earth County and in our area over the next several years. So this requires we put on our binoculars and look into the future about 5 years. These projects interact with each other. In 2015 and 16, we're scheduled and on track to do County 1 from 30 to Good Thunder. That's a major project. 15, we do the grading, shoulders, pipes, bridges. 16, we do the pavement recycling and the paving. In 2015, also, the state will be closing Highway 22 for the whole summer.
Wow.
They'll be adding a bridge span at St. Peter over the Minnesota River and raising the road there. And the idea there is that Highway 22 won't have to close for less than a 100-year flood. In 2016, the state will be closing 169 for the whole summer between Mankato and St. Peter. And that's to raise the road 5 feet in some areas for flood proofing. There was a meeting last week on this. There's a real concern on folks' part, including my part, on where is the 16,000 vehicles per day on Highway 169 going to go. A good part of it will go to Highway 22, but that's already congested and very dangerous at times. Part of it will go to Nicollet County roads, which are also very dangerous. So I've in meeting with the state, asked them to consider how to handle that without closing or minimizing the closing. I'm concerned about the safety aspects of closing 169 and where that traffic goes.
So what would you think different? I mean, how would you?
They can't do,
you had to close
can't
it.
do one side and then do the other side on that. huh?
They figure they got to do the whole thing at one time.
But I see they're connected together between Mankato and St. Peter, whereas north of St. Peter, you know, they're divided. I mean, the roads are divided, so I would imagine that's what the issue is they have to do it all at the one time.
Yeah, I would hope that they would look closely at, is there a way to do half at a time?
Yeah.
And when you think about it too, that road is closed for a few days every few years. To accomplish this flood-proofing, it'll have to be closed for 7 months, and traffic shifted for 7 months. Now the pavement also needs replacement, so there's other work that needs to be done. So there's just a number of questions there. Okay, that's 2016. In 2017, the state is going to be replacing the pavement, or actually a concrete overlay, on Highway 22 from Mapleton up to County 90. And I think you were at a meeting, was it Wednesday night?
And there was some concern brought up later in the meeting about the closing of that and 66 and 17. So I seen Greg at the MAPO meeting and mentioned that to him, and I told him I'd be mentioning that to you. So it's just something that's going to come up.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that's good. Greg said they didn't even talk about detour routes yet, so whether that will be one or not, I don't know. But with one being done all the way, you know, there might be a detour route. So
Yeah,
something we'll have to, a challenge we'll have to overcome.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to, I'm not suggesting a solution out here, but laying out some parts of our discussion, I guess, for perhaps a future workshop. In 2017, when 22 is done, R1 will be done. But we were planning on doing 66 from Good Thunder into Mankato in 17 and 18. which would conflict with it. When you look at Highway 22 and north-south roads, you got our County 14 to the east about 6 miles. You got County 4 to the west about 6 miles, and another 4 miles you have 169. So people are going to try to find the shortest route, and whether or not MnDOT declares it as a detour. One discussion item this morning in our office was we could do Highway 66 from Good Thunder up to County 9 in 2016 and have that done. And then we would defer Highway 66 from County 9 into Mankato until 2018 when 17 is done. There are other possibilities. We talked about, if we were to do that, we talked about County 12. If we did County 12 in 2017, that would fit our workload and fit our schedule nicely and would not interfere with the other projects. That would give us 15 and 16 and 12 to get our funding package together, our permits by the right-of-way, get our final design approved, and so on. We also want to sit down with Mankato and see if they have any of their major roads planned over the next couple, 3 years. Make sure we're coordinated with them.
Joe, I'm wondering, does it matter if we write a letter as a county board or something to MnDOT regarding that issue, you know, with 169 being closed for the whole summer? I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of those projects I've watched, you know, the MnDOT, they do a good job and everything with whoever they contract with, but it's a lot of times, you know, the weekends, a lot of times there's no workers out there working. It depends what their contract is. I would think there's nobody on holidays. You know, I just wonder if they couldn't write up the contract in such a way to shorten that period of time for somehow, you know.
Maybe it's sort of like the roundabouts where some initial concerns were raised and then there was quite a program of working towards the best way to get it done.
Yeah.
So we're just at the beginning of that. I just wanted to make you aware that there were concerns, and I have safety concerns about where that 16,000 cars a day are going to go.
But that's
for 16?
That's a very good thing what he just said, because with the roundabouts, because of us and because of others that came out and talked about how much disruption it was going to be, they put on more manpower, they worked more hours and got it done faster. If they can do the same thing with 169, because that's going to be more disruption than the roundabouts, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
They if they can shorten that up by a month or two, that would be a huge issue.
There might be some combination of measures, like maybe instead of 5 foot, 4 foot would allow you to do 1/2 and 1/2. Maybe an accelerated construction schedule. You know, some combination of things. And when 169 was closed north of St. Peter, and the traffic was detoured to the Nicollet County roads for just a short time, what was it, a couple, 3 weeks?
Well, it might have been
There was 1 fatality and at least 2 very serious crashes right off the bat.
Yep.
It didn't seem like they had that detour part there figured out quite right on with that crash.
signage. That's some issues.
Yeah.
Signage.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I think I hit the main things we talked about this morning, Ryan?
Yep, correct.
Say, Al, just a question, it's not on the agenda, but weren't we talking about some stoplights on Riverfront and 14 up in the energy? Were those slated for this year, or?
I'll check on the status of those.
I wasn't just dreaming that up, was I? I mean,
No.
we did talk about it at one time, just if you're heading
Are you talking
north.
Are you talking on the north side of 14 or on the south side?
Be on the north side.
Yeah, that's
Right, Al?
huge.
Yeah. When you come off 14 heading westbound, you
You
want to
gotta
go
wait a
into
long time.
Mankato.
Oh man.
Especially at 4:30 to 5:30.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even go that way. But I thought we talked about stoplights at that one time.
Yeah, there were, the state, city, county did ICE intersection control evaluation studies for 5 and 57. And they recommended signal lights at some of the ramps and ultimately roundabouts in the long-term future.
5 would be 3rd Avenue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that could use one too. I sat
Yep.
there the other day for
Yeah,
quite a
3rd
while.
Avenue could always, yeah.
So just check on the status of that.
Yes, I shall do that.
Good.
All right. And just to note that Mankato Area Planning Organization had an open house for their long-range transportation plan, October 30th. Fairly well attended. A quick note that our brand new project, County 17 in Eagle Lake, some of the curb, the concrete is not performing well, does not meet specs.
Well,
And we'll be replacing some of the curb. I don't know if there'll be a big enough window this fall to get it done, or the contractor may have to wait till next spring. It'll be a warranty repair item.
good.
And it's American Engineering and Testing. Took a core sample, tested it. According to our records, the concrete met the specifications when it was placed, but it was over vibrated, which drives the air entrainment out of the surface. And the air entrainment allows microscopic air bubbles. This has always been fascinating to me.
We'll do it.
That's why you're an engineer.
I got all work. These microscopic air bubbles will allow enough space in the concrete so that when it absorbs some moisture, especially with salt and moisture, and there's expansion, there's a place for the water and the ice to expand to. Without that microscopic air bubbles, it expands and it breaks the top off. So you'll see the top raveling of the concrete gutter. There's no really good way to fix that. It's down deep enough into the concrete curve.
Can't just grind it off.
No.
All right.
So there will be some disturbance there. The contractor will do it in a neat workmanship-like way by sawing the joint between the concrete and the bituminous, and then lifting it out with a grapple of some sort, and then they'll cast in new curb. Had discussion with some of you about some flood properties along the Sewer River. You may recall several years ago, we purchased, used the EWP money, and actually 25% match from the landowner, property from Hashers by Garden City, where the bank was eroding and the house was on the verge of falling into the river. We have two more houses, one owned by David Munson and one by Carol and James Millies.
Yep.
Just off County 41, in River Lane area. Got some photos in front of you. The first one shows you the David Munson lot. If you look in the back side, you see an enlargement of that. And you can see the house and how close the bank is, top of the bank is to the house. That is a very tall bank. That's on the order of, what, 70 feet or something?
Yeah, it's at least, pretty tall.
At the toe, you may recall a couple, 3 years ago, a DNR natural bank protection project was done there. With the high water, that's been basically washed out and failed, and now the bank is sloughing. There are some possible programs to assist here. There's the NRCS Emergency Watershed Program, which was used with Hashers. There's a FEMA program, and there may be some DNR funds, flood mitigation funds available. There's another home owned by Mealy's, and that's shown on this map also. You flip to the back, you see an enlargement, and you can see that house is virtually on the edge of the bluff also. And you can see the bank protection project that was constructed there also. It just is not practical to rock, rip, wrap, replace the slough bank. It would cost more than the house is worth. And you'd have to extend it quite a ways upstream and downstream. So the only practical solution really is to move the house. The program that we use
right next to it though, I mean the garage is,
yeah,
I'm assuming that's the garage.
not sure, well, yeah, that's, well, the house, you can see the garage must be by the driveway. And the next one must be the house.
Yeah. That one's getting awfully close too.
Yeah.
It's very close.
The engineer for the NRCS has said these are both in imminent danger. There's no practical alternative but to acquire and move. We haven't met with the two landowners, the NRCS, FEMA. The DNR, Mike Mauer from the Sheriff's Emergency Management Office has been involved in this. But before we did that, I wanted to make sure that the board was supportive of a similar program we had with the Hashers, where the county would be the facilitator, would handle the money, would handle the contracting. We'd get all the money we could for the project from those programs. The balance, the match, would be provided by the landowner. There would be no county cash involved directly, just in the staff hours to facilitate and to manage the funds.
Yeah, you look at 75%, 25% landowner.
About that, yes. It gets a little messed up because some of the programs will cover some items and not others. So we actually use two programs with Hashers, the EWP and the DNR program.
I think they wound up with about, net cost of about 12% to the Hashers on that, so.
Yeah, and these are a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
newer houses, whatever.
They're probably, what do you think, age-wise, 25 years old or something?
These are wood frame buildings, so it's probably possible to relocate these, to move them.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
The Hashers was demolished, it was a concrete block building. These, there's probably a market for buying them and moving them.
Yeah, if they found another lot, they might even.
Well, I was just wondering who the board was at the time that approved the building of them.
Oh,
You know, the Board of Commissioners?
Yeah, the
this-
setbacks might not have been, who knows how old they are, but that's a good question. I was thinking the same thing, how old are these houses, but they're probably.
Probably about 25 years old.
Oh,
I don't have any
yeah,
idea.
there's some
I couldn't
houses
even guess.
nearby, they're over 40.
Well, this is the land I'm
with
thinking
the-
of. This is Ireland
the township
farmland.
too, though, that's the planning, this is, you're talking like the Munsons they had a huge field,
The
I don't know,
setbacks
100
probably
yards
worked.
or whatever,
The
yeah.
setbacks probably
Yeah,
worked back when this was built.
It's just, the river changed
Gone.
course and stuff, you would've never figured 25 years ago that this would happen.
Well,
Really?
am I reading this right, Al, that it looks like it's about 80 feet is gone? If you look at this part, is that reading it kind of there? Is that an 80 there?
which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at the Melly's one. And if you look at the reading, it looks like it's about 80 feet there, then 125 feet to the front property line. And that, that's about how much he's lost. Looks like 50 feet on the one end.
Yeah.
What happens
If that's where the line was when the house was built,
Right.
and we're talking about setbacks, he might have met the setback when the house
Well,
was
of course
built.
he meets them, because right now, from a bluff, all we have is about, I think, 20 or 40 feet or something. It's not very far.
Right.
We still haven't changed it.
What's
And that's-
interesting too
Our
is
planning and zoning, it says we can increase them if we want to, but I think when there's any body of water like that, I think it should say something like, 80-foot setback, 100-foot setback, whatever, and it can be reduced according to the topography or something.
Yeah, and
I
80
really
would have
do.
worked for this, but again,
Yeah.
this one should
I
have
just
been
know we're
200.
approving 'em.
Wouldn't have had a building envelope then.
We're approving it pretty close to a lot of river bluffs right now. Still, this board is.
Yeah, and a couple things here. If you look at the Munson close-up, you can see where, when the lot was platted, you can see where the boundary was. Now that boundary's out in the river.
No, I see that.
Top half is out in the river.
Yeah.
And these rivers will erode on the outside of a bend and accumulate sediment on the inside of the bend. It's a very strong natural process.
This is if you go, like our proposed County Road 12, and you go across 83 and you just keep on going, it comes down to the river. That's where this is, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then there's another little subdivision on the other side of this river.
yes.
That's right along there too.
Yeah, and the subdivision on the other side of the river, there's a township road that goes back there where the bluff slid and the road went with it. The township is working with FEMA to restore that.
And they had a gas line, but they were lucky that didn't break apart. Yeah.
I mean, these things are costing money, whether it's county money or not. They're costing money. Lots of infrastructure money.
And we have, with our roads and bridges, we're dealing with this all the time. Our county highways and our bridges are located where these things are happening.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm hearing a consensus that we should work, as we did with the Hashers, to facilitate but not put county cash into it.
And I'd like to ask for the planning and zoning to revisit the setbacks for all bluff building, and at least review it and talk about it again.
We probably should. I know we talked about it at one time, but
You talk with, and you have Julie Conrad, somebody like that.
Good idea.
I think one of the challenges with this will be then the administrative piece of overseeing this, and so that's one thing we'll have to sort out within the county system if we support this effort, who will be responsible for that.
Probably the commissioner that's in that district, I would say, would be.
Well, this is getting to be a big issue, you know, I mean, we
Yeah.
should maybe
It's gonna get
start laying
worse.
some parameters.
It's gonna get
I mean, if
worse.
the house was only built in the last 20 years, what responsibility, I mean, again, it's not any county levy tax dollars, but this is all tax dollars at work. You know, whether it's through the DNR or the federal government or whatever, that's all tax dollars at work, and at what point, because I can tell you right now, if we talk about pushing that setback from the bluff back further, we're gonna get huge pushback from the citizens and people that are concerned. It's my property, why can't I do what I want with it?
Right.
You know, we're trying to look out for them, and again, government trying to do the job of everyone, which isn't always right, but,
Yeah.
you know, when we have that discussion, Will's phone and my phone will ring, as we
Could we-
talk about setbacks.
I know, could we attach something that goes with the property, so whoever buys it even cannot apply for programs?
Well, you know,
if the
and
house starts to hang over the edge of the cliff?
Well, and, you know, those are some discussions that we might have to have, unfortunately, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. We set the setbacks.
Right.
Everybody thinks they should be able to build right out there. We've had several of them at the planning and zoning and at the variance board. People want to be able to build as close to that bluff as they think they can.
I know.
And we all know it ain't the right thing to do, but at the end of the day, if something happens in 10, 20, 15, 30, or whatever the deal is,
responsibility?
who's responsible for it? You know, it
Yeah.
ain't insurance, it ain't the landowner, it's
Yeah.
the taxpayers. So it's,
And the reason I would support doing this is because, I mean, the county board at the time probably acted in good faith and
you're right.
Sure
said,
they did.
met
Well,
setbacks, you know?
Like
Yeah.
you say, these you had never foreseen for the Munson one, for sure.
Yeah.
They're probably built 40 years ago.
Oh, yeah, they had a big, like, the kids, whatever, they had a big park there, like park-sized lot.
With the technology we have today, though, and the knowledge we have of rivers, and we should be a little better at seeing some of this
Yeah.
stuff. I think, to your point, Drew, where you said it's larger setback, and it can be reduced if it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
You know, let's face it,
yeah.
on a corner,
Some of them don't
it doesn't
actively
take an
erode.
engineer anymore to figure out that it's gonna erode with the way
Right.
the river's.
Some of it's the urbanization, I mean, you have this problem with the ones that are closer to Mankato with more developments.
Yeah.
And then,
There's no
you know,
toll
there's
project
more-
going on down
more
there, is there,
water
through our...
rushing
our,
into the rivers.
Water.
There's a lot
There
more water.
was.
There was one?
That was completed a couple, 3 years ago, the natural ISO protection.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
It didn't work, it just washed out.
Well,
Washed out or over it.
I
Yeah.
look at my farm, the river's 200 feet closer to my house than it was when I built it, and
We're gonna be bailing him out pretty
Yeah.
soon.
No, I mean, we still got plenty of room, but I never would have imagined that river would have moved that much, since the time we built that house, and I'm sure,
No.
you know, no matter what you do, there are gonna be some times when the river is gonna go where it wants to.
Yeah. I think with some of the modeling we got nowadays, though, we probably can tell where some areas could be at risk, don't you think?
I think that's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
25
it's-
years ago, we didn't have this
Yeah.
technology.
I think it's
Yeah.
worth looking at. You know, you city commissioners have, you know, but ours ends up with the Mankato being involved in Mankato ravines, because you've got a few ravines with that last flooding
We've got a lot of
in
them.
June. I
Absolutely.
just talked to one the other day in your area that's in the townhomes, and
I know.
but it becomes the private landowner has to deal
Oh,
with
it does.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, and they don't, you know, the ravines aren't running water so much, but
Yeah.
they'll get the water. You know,
They get
coming, yeah, soaked, they get water coming, and
And
it
their
chips
planning and
away at the.
zoning goes through the city of Mankato, not through us. so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's a good program, and I think it worked out well last time, and I support
Yeah.
it, but I think
I
we
know.
gotta, I've been on the board 12 years, and this is the third one now. The first several years I was on the board, there was none, and now all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
starting to
This is the
become.
second and the third one.
Second and a third one, so we need to start setting
Yeah.
some parameters and some policy decisions.
Well, and I can think of at least a couple that are gonna be in the same shape within the next
Yeah,
5 years.
I think we
Yeah.
all could
Yeah,
probably
that
come up
is-
with a couple.
Yeah.
There are more out there. Okay, one more thing. On a road tour, we went to Vernon Center and we drove County 72 Kendall. The city would like to work on next year. That's not in our 5-year plan, but reviewing our county stated highway municipal funds. The city's estimate through SEH, their consultant, is the county share would be about $450,000. With the balance that remains after the city of Madison Lake, And with our 2015 allocation, we'll have a little over 500,000. We don't have any other cities applying for funds ahead of them, except for the discussion we had a couple years ago on in Madison Lake, the gravel road, shifting the alignment.
Right.
Yeah. That really hasn't moved forward at this point in any detail. So I would suggest that we go ahead and work with Vernon Center on this about $450,000 project to facilitate their sanitary sewer water main replacement program.
Oh, I know what you're
even
talking
though it's not on our 5-year plan at this point.
Talked about on the tour, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that now. That loop,
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
was it that loop you were talking about that kind
Yeah.
of came in town?
One leg of the loop.
Okay.
What, we bought 2 blocks there, that's ours, right?
Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al.
Beautiful day out there.
Yes.
Thanks, Ryan, for coming too.
Yep. Let's take a 5-minute
And,
break.
Pat?
Okay, are we ready to go again?
We are.
Let's continue on with the minutes.
I'll move the minutes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. The bills.
Move the bills.
Second.
Discussion?
I got some discussion. I know, I got a few, just a couple extra bills. Bob helped me with a few of them. But I was just curious about, I know we see stuff like this once in a while and you have a good explanation. It just kind of blows my mind when I see a Courtyard by Marriott for 10 grand, you know, it just kind of wonder what's going on. I'm sure it's some kind of a program or something's going on.
Right, it's the South Central Community-Based Initiative holds a stakeholders conference, and so we rented that facility to have stakeholders involved in the 10-county region come and hear about the mental health services through the community-based initiative.
And they must collect some funds for that, don't they, to help offset the cost, or is it just?
Well, we get that state grant for the initiative that funds that particular event.
Oh, it does?
Yep, it's budgeted as an
okay.
event within that grant.
And then there was one curious about Justin Jackson, 34,000 refund. Just I don't know what that means. I just was curious.
That is a tax refund, as my recollection is there was an error in a calculation, and so the refund is to correct that error.
Wow, that's a good chunk. And then a couple of attorney fees. I was just wondering if there's one Bloomberg LP, must be an attorney, other fees, $7,900.
Actually, that's for our investment program. Lisa Malinsky has a service to help with our investments, and so that's a maintenance fee associated with that.
Like an annual fee or something. And then the WW blacktopping, I'm sure I could probably guess, but $93,000, week 2. It says it's for site grounds and improvements.
Right, that's some parking lot repairs both at the Justice Center and then the south parking lot
Combined.
here at the courthouse.
Oh, okay. So I didn't remember it being that much down here. All right, thank you.
I just have oh, you have one?
That's the one that's got the Kip Brunder sidewalk.
Oh,
Oh.
we haven't named it yet, but
Yeah.
That's catchy.
Me promoting a sidewalk, isn't
Westman
that?
Freightliner, 253,000. What did we buy?
Those are a couple of the big tandem trucks in the Public Works Department.
That's, I figured, that's it.
Any other questions?
And the first week there, the 4th infrastructure environmental was contracted services, $18,635.
That's part of the Ponderosa.
That's Ponderosa?
They
Okay.
do there.
Then you had another one with, I assume maybe this is passed through, I'm not sure, the Minnesota Valley Action Council payment for recipient, it says, for $68,750.
That is the Family Homelessness Prevention and Assistance Program through the Human Services Department. It is a pass-through
Okay.
of grant
Okay.
dollars to support a regional homeless prevention program.
Okay, it's for regional, okay. That's all I had, thank you.
Okay.
I'm sure that one will come back to bite me, won't it, Kip?
It's working really well, though.
Yes, it is. It's kind of nice.
Okay, if there are no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Human Resources?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, just one informational item this morning. We have filled the Financial Assistance Specialist vacancy in the Human Services Department, so we have that staffing settled down. Next then is a resolution authorizing the sheriff to execute grant agreements with the Department of Public Safety, part of the Towards Zero Death and Enforcing Underage Drinking Laws grant program. So recommending approval of this resolution authorizing the sheriff to execute those agreements.
Yeah, you're in TZ.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
the,
I'll recommend approval,
I'll
receiving
second
that.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried.
That's all we have for this morning, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No lunch, right, today?
No lunch today.
Some discussion on that motion?
If you get a second to it.
All right.
Dice for lack of seconds.
Yeah.
I'll second, yeah, we gotta stay in the meeting.
Okay. Motion and second? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.